This time I'd like to invite the children to come forward for their blessing before heading to their worship centers.
Big group today. Hi, yes, Kai.
I have a dino stuffed animal that has a piece around it, and it's a triceratops, and it's about that big.
That is amazing. Very cool. Check out the table behind you. It's another Come to the Table day. It's set up a little bit differently today. What does it kind of look like? Uh-huh. Hold on, let's let Wyatt answer, and then it could be your turn, okay, Kai? What does it look like, Wyatt? Who's getting ready to sit at that table? An artist? Okay, you noticed the easel too, right? Mm-hmm. Kai? It looks like God's getting ready. The correct answer to any children's message question is God, right? Like, anytime we ask you a question, God is, or Jesus, yes. Does it look like that table is like a bunch of preschoolers and kindergartners are going to sit at that table? Probably not. Maybe grown-ups are going to sit at that table? Yeah. Do you think they're going to have a fun, lively conversation, or maybe like a meeting kind of conversation? Yeah, I think that it's set up for like a meeting for grown-ups. So we're talking about the table of peace. Have you ever argued with a family member or a friend? Raise your hand, just a quiet hand, if you've ever had an argument with somebody. Out there, anybody ever had an argument? I'm pretty sure we all have, right? Yes. What was your argument about? Can you give me an example of what argument you've had? Okay. Doing something you were told not to, and yes, so we have a consequence if we do something we were told not to do, right? Anybody else have an argument with a friend or a family member? Do you remember what it was about? Siblings. Arguments with siblings all the time, right? Maybe arguing over toys or showtime. Guess what? I'm going to tell you a secret. Even grown-ups have arguments. Did you know that? Even grown-ups have arguments. And when we argue, we need to compromise. We need to take turns. We need to resolve our disagreements. And that takes a lot of two things: patience and compassion. And I know as a kid, patience is super, super tricky, but also as adults, patience is tricky too. Patience and compassion when we have arguments. So for Jesus, he helped people with their disagreements over a meal. So we're talking about come to the table, and every time we're talking about some kind of food. And Jesus helped people with their arguments and their disagreements when they would get together over a meal. So I want to encourage you, I'm going to give you a challenge this week, to think about disagreements that you have like Jesus would want you to. So when you have an argument with someone or a disagreement with someone, think about it like Jesus would want you to. Wyatt? Okay, you thought of an example. Oh, argue with your cat over your bed, or knocking stuff off the table. That's our cat. Stop it. Stop doing that, right? Yes, definitely. So when you have arguments, what's that? Eating what? Eating the plants. Yes, that too. When you have arguments, think about how you're going to resolve those arguments like Jesus would want you to. Do you remember those two things we were talking about that Jesus would want you to do when you're resolving arguments? Patience and compromise. Can you do that this week? Wilder? Yes. Animals are one we argue with quite often, I think. So today we have a very special opportunity. So if you are an older child or a child that doesn't normally come down, I would love it if you do come down, because Mr. Mike is going to show us his maker's space downstairs that they use from our church, and they have a 3D printer in there that he's going to show us, and we're going to make 2-liter bottle tornadoes together, so it's going to be super fun. Even if you don't normally come down, feel free to come down. And he did say adults, when you come down for fellowship time, you're more than welcome to check out their space too. So we're very excited about that. All right, let's have a prayer. Are you ready? Raise a hand. Dear God, help us to have patience and compassion, even when we disagree. Amen.